Hello and welcome to a special episode where we will be talking about our top 10 favorite Disney movies. And when we're talking about this 10, I'm talking about animated, live action, but not the live action remakes. No.
Because those suck.
Those are in their own list, and even the best ones, for me, The Jungle Book, is in their own personal circle of hell. We're also not going to include...
Pete's Dragon was kind of clever and creative.
Right. But we're also not going to include none of the Star Wars movies nor the Marvel movies because those are going to be in their own list. We do count them as Disney movies because they are technically Disney movies.
We have to.
But we're going to rank them differently on another video. So right now we're just going to talk about our 10 favorite Disney movies. Starting off, number 10, Riss, yours is Oliver and Company.
See, you gotta love Oliver and Company. I don't get why so many people don't like it or it's too low on their list. I mean, it's not that high on my list because there are better movies.
I can tell you why it flopped.
But I don't want to know why it flopped.
I can tell you why.
Why did it flop?
It was released the same weekend as the original Land Before Time.
That'll make it flop?
Yeah, it flopped. Badly.
Holy hell.
Land Before Time did amazing.
Well, just because they flop doesn't mean they aren't great movies. Atlantis would be one of them.
Oh, yeah.
The only thing I can think of that I didn't like about Oliver and Company was, of course, the poodle. Don't like poodles, don't like Bette Midler. So a poodle voiced by Bette Midler? Blech! I don't like that. I don't like her song. I don't like her voice. I don't like the way she acted.
She was a give or take character for me. She was fairly annoying, but she didn't like destroy the movie for me. Like you get some of those movies where you get a character and it's just like.
Like the parts I liked about her was basically the parts I could mock. One in particular is when she's like freaking out and they're like, "Oh my God, did she get hurt or something?" She's like, "I broke a nail."
Now you do know that it is a silly take with cats and dogs on the Charles Dickens story Oliver Twist, right?
Of course I know that.
Okay, you know that. All right, just making sure.
I know my literature probably more than you do.
Oh, yes, you do.
Thank you.
But, yeah, you want to talk about the songs done by old Billy Joel? That's the only thing I like about the movie, personally. Everything else is fine. It's just the stuff that really, like...
Not all of them were done by Billy Joel. Once Upon a Time in New York City was by Huey Lewis and the News. It was actually a very good song. I love that song. Okay. It's right in the beginning. It has a nice message to it. Of course, it says Oliver repeatedly.
Yeah.
But when you listen to it and, you get the feels for yourself, you can kind of, replace that name with your name. It doesn't really matter. But that's a great song. Why Should I Worry is, of course, a great song. Good Company is a great song. Okay. I sing that to my cat, and he comes running. Every time. Comes out of the corner, hops up on the bed. My cat knows that's his song.
Alright, so to wrap up, why is this only your number 10? Like, just didn't compete with the others, or why would you say? Is there anything that you'd say detract from it, like just Bette Midler?
Just Bette Midler. No, I'm not, like, that harsh where I'm gonna go, this movie isn't that great because of one voice actor. Don't bring up Toy Story.
Fair enough.
I'm not that harsh. It's half because there are better Disney movies. It's half because sometimes the plot seemed to fall a little flat. So it was good, well thought out, for an Oliver Twist animal version, well thought out, catchy songs.
Yeah, I would say with the exception of Dodger, like, all his friends are, like, fairly typical, bland, not that well developed.
Stereotype.
Yeah, I don't even remember, like, half of their names. That's how kind of bland they are.
Yeah. I remember the songs more than I remember their names. And just so I'm not leaving out the song, because it is a very good song, Streets of Gold.
Okay.
Very good song. Not a very good song to really let your kids listen to without explaining to them that you don't act like this. Because the song is pretty much, you're living on the streets, you can steal things, you can do this, you can do that, so, you're gonna let your kids watch the movie, explain to them.
It's like a different version of One Jump.
Yeah, right? It's like, teach your kids when you sit them down and let them watch movies.
Let's move on to my number 10, and that is Beauty and the Beast. But yeah, Beauty and the Beast, definitely
was.
better than the live-action remake, but we're not here to shit on the live-action remake, because that's a whole video in and of itself.
We're not here for it, but believe me, I will when it comes time.
Oh, someday.
Oh,
someday.
God awful do I hate that movie.
Okay, there we go. But I will say this, the live-action remake did make me put the Beauty and the Beast in my top 10. Like, it did make me appreciate it.
It wasn't there
more.
before?
No. There's just a lot of movies that I preferred.
What is wrong with you?
It's more of a girl movie for me. Like Gaston is like a decent villain, and I do like how he develops, and he starts out as like just a jerk, and he like descends into that madness.
Yes.
But for other Disney movies, they connected with me on a much bigger level, with me personally. And with the exception of like Cogsworth and Gaston himself, I don't find Beauty and the Beast nearly as quotable to me. Which is very odd, because I quote the hell out of the likes of like movies that you will see later on this list, which I can go on tangents. This one, not so much. I don't know, it was just a film that I admired, but it was nothing that I just considered like the peak. And don't feel too bad, because Little Mermaid isn't even in my top 20. And that's like the movie that started the Disney Renaissance.
It might
and
be in
another thing is like Beauty and the Beast
20?
was like the movie that was released on my birth year, 1991. So it should very much be my movie. And I like it. It's enjoyable. I like most of the songs. I like the character of the Beast. I liked how he actually has a character in the animated film, unlike the live-action one. And that's the last stab I'll do that, I promise. It didn't satisfy me the way the other movies on this list did. It was a movie that I realized that it appeals more to girls than it does to me. And that's just like what it boiled down to.
Well, I can see that. I mean, growing up,
animation.
It wasn't just,
I love the
I want to be a Disney princess. It was literally, I want to be Belle.
Yeah.
I want to be beautiful and smart and kind, and I
But
want
you
to
don't
be
take
able.
shit.
Yeah, but you don't take shit.
Yeah, that was a great
and
thing
I want to
about
be able
Belle.
to like, look at someone that everyone else thinks is awful and be like, no, he's a sweetheart.
It's mostly a love story, like through and through, whereas I feel like all the other entries on this list, yes, they have a romance, but that's not the sole focus. There's an adventure, there's...
How much adventure are you
suspense,
gonna
there's
get locked
comedy.
in a castle?
Again, like, the whole movie's like pretty much takes place in a castle. A lifeless castle, for the most part, with the exception of Be Our Guest. So it's like, I could see why some people like it. Me personally, I just ask for a little bit more with my Disney movies. It's not bad. It's just bottom of my top 10. I mean,
Right,
nice
could be
honor to give
worse.
it. Could be worse. Could be much worse. But no, my number 10, Beauty and the Beast. Your number 9, The Incredibles.
Oh, The Incredibles. I love The Incredibles. I love the family dynamic of the whole thing. I mean, it's not just another superhero movie. Oh no. They were superheroes, and then like everyone just turns against them, and they can't be superheroes, but the dude, who I swear is going through a midlife crisis, cannot let it go. Don't even.
What? The only thing I was going to interject
But-
is, like, just because you brought that up, like, it's not just a superhero movie. Thinking back, out of, like, everything DC and Marvel has produced, Incredibles is probably one of my favorite superhero movies, period.
Oh yeah, mine too.
Like, out of anything, like Captain
Definitely.
America, Iron Man.
I do love those,
Man of Steel,
but
like-
The Incredibles kicks all their butts. Just
Yeah, I think Incredibles offers so much more than those
just because it
run-of-the-mill
doesn't focus
superhero films.
solely on the superhero aspect.
And the villain's actually
It's so
entertaining
much
and a
more.
threat. Which is something Marvel just can't seem to
He's
do.
entertaining. He's a threat. And whereas I will say I'm not a huge fan of backstories, I get his.
Well, yeah, because his isn't like solely done through flashback. You're with him
Yeah.
through the journey, so you understand. It's like, oh,
You don't
okay.
actually expect him to turn into the villain. You realize why he did. It
Mm-hmm.
kind of blows your mind in a way.
His whole plot is like very messed up, and like you sympathize with him.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It's the good kind of sympathize where it's like, no, you're still in the wrong here. Not the stupid kind of sympathize where it's just like, oh, he just wants a hug. It's like, no, he's
Yeah.
still being a bastard.
No, he's still an asshole.
Like just the way he treats Mirage. Is that her name? His assistant, Mirage.
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, Mirage. Just the way he treats Mirage. It's like, no, go ahead, break her spine. I don't give a damn.
Yeah.
Like that part, and it's like, no, this guy is a villain, and like one of the best when it
He
comes
is-
to superhero villains.
He is too, and he is quotable. He is oh so
Oh,
quotable.
he is absolutely quotable.
He's fun to quote. Like, I mean, you were right. I don't quote Beauty and the Beast. As much as I love it, I don't quote it that much. There's not much to quote.
I think another thing, and this is just for me interjecting on you, is the family as a whole, every single character, even Jack Jack, he doesn't have much character, but he's entertaining to watch. Like, they have their pros, they have their cons, they have their insecurities, they have their strengths.
Family. They have.
And like,
You know,
a lot of people say
so
it is
much
basically
to them.
Bob Parker the movie, and I'm like, I can agree to that to an extent, but still, for as much time as there is on Bob Incredible, Bob something. Why did I say Bob Barker? Oh, that's the fucking Price is Right guy.
There we go. Bob Parr.
Bob Parr, there we go, thank you. Bob Parr.
You're welcome.
Anyways,
Mr. Incredible. Mr.
Bob
Price
Parr,
is
it is
Right.
basically Bob Parr's movie. For what it is, like, there is a
but there's
surprising
other
amount of
aspects.
character development for all the other characters.
He's so like connected to his family. You can really feel it when he like breaks down, and not just when he thinks they're dead and he breaks down, but when it's like his family wants to stay by him and he's like, I can't do it, I'm not strong enough. Okay, well this dude's super strength, so what's he talking about? I'm not strong enough to lose you again. Like, that hits you right there, man. That's one of those
So,
hit you in the feels moments.
To wrap this up, why is it still relatively low for a top 10?
Probably just because there are better movies.
Yeah, that's fine.
I
Moving on to my number 9 is the original Toy Story.
knew we'd get this eventually.
Yes. I love the original
Yes,
Toy Story. I love all the Toy Story movies.
He
Another
does.
Toy Story movie is going to be in this list later on. But for now, we're going to talk about the original, which introduced my favorite character, Buzz Lightyear, voiced by Tim Allen.
Yes!
And my second favorite character, Woody, voiced by Tom Hanks.
No!
Boo!
Boo!
Even though the animation, like, I look back and I'm just like, wow, it's come a long way. It is nice to see, like, the starting point, and I still have that admiration for it. It didn't really be like, well, the animation kind of aged, and so did the story. Not so much. Even though, like, Woody is close to unbearable, but
He
he's
is.
not. Like, he is very irritating, and, like, I did
is.
read that they had to do so many reshoots and rewrites because, like, people would just be like, this Woody character is unbearable.
He was.
The final version that we got, like, I do see more of that, like, on rewatches. I'm just like, yeah, Woody's a bit of a prick, especially compared to the other two movies where he's, like, much more likable.
He is.
But the first movie, like, he really is like, hey, this is all about me, all about Woody and his jealousy, and
Yeah.
like the lengths he goes to, and the
Buzz
fact
was
that
just such a likable character, and then you have
I wouldn't
Woody
say
just...
likable. He was a little full of himself and a little like I'm a space ranger.
Well, he was... He was misunderstanding that you are a toy.
You are a
child's
strange little man. You
plaything.
have my
You are
pity.
a
Yeah.
strange-
If it's quotable and I can just get into character, like it does put it higher up on my list. If you haven't noticed, like I can go on with Toy Story, Beauty and the Beast, not
We
so much.
love quoting Disney.
The villain, oh my god, like Sid is like excellent because he's like really not like a
Sid's
"Waha, I want to
demented."
destroy. He just tortures toys, and like that's something like a lot of kids do, just for the hell of it. Like they just
They're demented.
put their toys and they like break them off, and he's kind of like a Frankenstein, Dr. Frankenstein of the toys community. Like he puts them together, he experiments. He's something that you'd find like a YouTube channel to be like, look what I made out of all these toys.
He is kind of like Frankenstein in a way. It's like
Yeah, he puts.
he wants love, so he tries to create it. It's like it's not there, buddy. They don't even love you. They're hiding under the bed.
But I also think like that's where the movie like takes the tone down, is because the entire like second half is just Sid's house, and Sid's house is a very dreary, bleak place, and we're
I
there
feel so
for a
bad
while.
for his little sister. They didn't show her in the third movie, but I swear she's in therapy.
Yeah, probably. Toy Story is an enjoyable movie for me, like all around, but I do think there is another one that I find better, and we will get to that later on the list. For now, let's move on to your number 8, A Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh my god, A Nightmare Before Christmas. First of all, you can watch it at Christmas time, you can watch it for Halloween, two of my favorite holidays, and if you're like me, you can watch it any other time you want because it is that good.
It does have that timeless feel, I'll give it that, and it's one of Tim Burton's best. Like
It
I don't like
is.
to ride on the bandwagon that obvious where it's like it's Tim Burton's best. But for me personally it is. Like not many
It
of
is
his come
one
close.
of his best. I will say that Corpse Bride does come a little close.
Really? Wow. Alright.
Little close. First of all, he's not a bad guy. He just kind of got bored with his own holiday, and he wanted to find something better and different and what's more
he's
opposite
always
from
driven to
Halloween
outdo
than
himself.
Christmas. He is.
he states that this is like the best Halloween, he immediately is thinking about the next one, like that night.
Yes.
He's thinking of how to make the next Halloween
well, that's because
better.
that's how Halloween Town worked. As soon as Halloween was over, it was like, okay, next day, here's the plans for next Halloween. He's like, no, I'm bored with this. Because it gets tedious, you know?
Yeah.
Keep doing anything over and over again, it gets tedious, you get bored. I understood his character, I loved his character, but honestly, I felt for Sally a little more.
See, that's the character
It's
that drags the
one of my
movie down for me.
Favorite character? It's one of my favorite movies, kind of because of Sally.
I could never get behind Sally. I don't know if it was her design or like, ugh. Or just
maybe her design.
voice.
She's a
like
she's
her
a
voice,
ragdoll or
her
whatever.
voice I kind of didn't like.
Her
I
voice
could understand her personality
is
and like
slightly
how she was kind of like,
irritating.
I see there's something wrong. There's a corruption within him in our hero character. Like I understand that, but like Sally as a whole like never grabbed me.
Yeah, but Sally was in love with him and
Yeah.
he never noticed her.
Yeah.
And it took, you know, she has to save Santa and then he has to save them.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, Oogie Boogie, one of the greatest villains.
All right.
He's just fun.
He is fun. He's very enjoyable to watch. I think the biggest bummer was that the only interaction between Jack and Oogie is in that final scene. Like, they met.
True.
They mention that they don't like each other, but their only interaction is in that final scene. And the whole scene is basically, Jack, I thought you were dead. You must be double dead. And then they fight, and then he kills him.
Yeah, I know.
That is their whole interaction.
See, I let that go for the fact that when it's like animation, you could put a little more time into this. You could do a little more claymation.
Oh, yeah, like stop motion. Like, they
Stop
had to go
motion?
through like
Shit like that?
50-some different
Oh
heads for
my
each expression.
goodness.
So I could understand
I know,
like
right?
some characters, Oogie and Jack, didn't have that kind of like chemistry going back to where I could feel like they were rivals.
Because there was so much put into that, which is another reason why it's one of my favorites. There's so much put into that, and it is so good.
You
for
could
how
tell they
much
worked
was
their
put into
ass
that.
off, and you could
could
tell
he
that
worked his ass off.
you're never gonna get another movie like that.
I mean, you got me the DVD for Christmas, and I watched like the behind the scenes, and it pretty much shows you how much work went into that.
Yeah, so
I was
much
like,
work that even though they're
holy
announcing like a sequel,
shit.
I'm pretty sure they said it's either gonna be like through a comic book or some other medium because they refuse to just do another movie like that.
Either
I
that,
think
or
I
it
read
is
something like
going
that.
to be animation.
Oh, just flat out animation.
Yeah,
Oh wow.
I think that's like an idea they're tossing around, as long as it's not CGI.
It probably will be.
I don't like that.
Because it's
idea.
cheaper and just easier and like less time consuming. Like Nightmare Before Christmas is ambitious, but holy shit, they were exhausted. It's another reason why Sleeping Beauty, all the detail that went into the backgrounds were painted frame by frame by frame. It was expensive as hell. It didn't quite meet the budget, so it didn't make as much money as they wanted. So they're like, we just can't afford to do that again. So like that's just a one-time thing. Like they worked their asses off, and they just felt like in the end it wasn't worth the struggle. The amount of work is beautiful and like but it doesn't pay off.
Right.
So I guess to close, like any final thoughts on Nightmare Before Christmas? Why it's still not making the top 5?
It's not making the top 5 because even though I love the songs and I love the movie, there could have been more to it. Especially when they show you the other trees with the other doors to the other holidays. You're telling me you couldn't even hint at that or look into that or something? I get it with all the clay and the stop motion and all that. It was difficult, so I understand, but at the same time, it's not that
It has
high up.
a lot of possibilities for sequels with those
Yes,
other holidays.
it
And
does.
It's a huge missed opportunity if they make another sequel and just focus on Halloween Town and Christmas Town. Like that would
It
be the
is.
stupidest thing they do is not mention a single other holiday.
Yeah.